we've seen this run as well. It was kind of a filler and a replacement and, you know, all that kind of stuff. This time, a little bit better prepared, which is also why the estimate is quite a bit lower than last month this time around. Anyway, without further ado, let's get started in 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah.
So welcome everybody to Spongebob Squarepants Supersponge. Basically, just your regular run-of-the-mill platformer with a couple neat little side thingies. First level, pretty straightforward level. Just move over to the right. This game consists.
This is funny enough. This is actually a run killer level. There's one point in this level that's actually has killed many runs, even though it's supposed to be the tutorial level. And that's right there.
Yeah, that just immediately loses a lot of time. So, well,
then
first choke out of the way. Let's get moving. So this game consists out of 5 different worlds, each with 4 stages, with a boss at the end of every world. And as we go along, you'll notice, you know, first and foremost, we're going to get to Sandy's tree, and you know, we all know that SpongeBob, he doesn't really do well in open air. So in order to actually reach the top, we're going to have to get onto the water there, and that will refill our water meter, and that gives us 20 seconds to reach another water area, otherwise we will just die. And you know, we don't like SpongeBob dying, so instead we're just gonna make sure we get enough. Neat little stair skip there.
The jump pad, you can jump higher if you press A at the right time. And you can do it here as well, and then you can skip another little jump pad. So,
yeah, 2 nice little jump skips with that. And with that out of the way, we're going to move over to Fishhooks Parks. And now you may, if you've watched SpongeBob at any point, you may remember that episode where he got his pants stuck on these fish hooks. Yeah, let's try to not get our pants stuck this time around, shall we? I guess as we move along, we can do a quick little donation.
Yes.
So, Sniper, giving it over to you again.
Yes, we have a €6.66 donation by Nepumuk saying, "Hey everyone, and good luck to all the runners. Sadly, I cannot be there this BSG, but I hope I can join you again in a month or 2.
So yeah, this is basically like every time you this level can be compared to the first 2 levels a little bit scary in that there's those giant holes beneath these fish hooks. If you fall in there, it's basically just game over.
Yeah, then it's an instant reset pretty much. It's super early in the game, and well, dying in this game is very punishing, like in most games.
So on to Bikini Bottom, which just involves around jumping over cars and stuff. Now, don't try this at home, kids. That really doesn't seem like a smart idea. This is also the first level where we're actually going to be fighting a boss. He's not very difficult a boss, as you'll see very soon. Casually, he can be kind of tricky the first time around, but generally most of these bosses are pretty straightforward.
Yep. This is pretty unique boss because this is the only boss or the only actual enemy overall that you cannot kill by just punching or jumping. You have to use the jellyfish he spawns to, well, deal damage to him. All other bosses, you can just press B repeatedly against them. And
yeah, it's also kind of interesting in that this boss itself is also the first introduction to even using the net in the first place. Basically by catching a couple of those jellyfish and then just throwing them back at him. You can use that later on to kill off enemies as well. We won't be seeing that a lot. Do we even see it at all after this?
Nope.
No,
you just use it on this boss.
So yeah, it's a pretty slow mechanic, and it's not even that many levels where you could even use it, I don't think. So there is that little burger on top. Every single one of the bosses will have a heal item near the top, or you know, somewhere on the screen. You know, making things a little bit easier. There's one boss where you'll definitely need it, which is the final boss, which actually has it in a bit of a tricky spot to begin with. But other than that, usually, you know, they're not that... They're just nice little bonuses, and you can play a little bit more risky with that. I mean, you can see here that Kitty Cat is purposely pretty much just waiting around inside of him to make sure he gets all the hits off. And that's the first boss of the game down.
It was a very slow jelly fight, but jelly fight is really a hit or miss. He spawns a little jellyfish, slightly delayed, but the delay is random. So
yeah, and in that sense, like, it's definitely one of the more RNG bosses. We're also going to get a damage boost here. Basically, by jumping on those spikes, you can just damage boost across. The way that it works is you have some invincibility frames after you hit it, but as soon as you do, you know, as soon as you land back on it, your invincibility has not yet run out. But because you land on it again, they do start over again, so you can just infinitely keep jumping over it, and you'll only ever take 1 damage.
And this level's pretty much just exclusively damage boosting through everything. You can wait for stuff, but it's just a lot faster to ignore it, take the hit, and well, just move yourself or get yourself across all the spikes.
So yeah, here's a giant piece of the spikes. He actually got on the platform, but usually, like, if you'd have to wait around for the platform, it just takes forever, and it's just really not worth it.
Now, we just got introduced to another weapon type, which we won't see for a while, and I'm going to do everything in my ability to avoid it, because it's slow. The little balloon thing has a few effects. The first is it makes you fall slower. The second one is that you can't actually kill things by doing like a Mario jump on them. And your punch disappears, so you have no form of combat, you move slower, it's horrible. Sometimes you get pushed into picking it up, but I'm gonna try and avoid that.
So he just got an extra life. He picked up 99 of those little spatulas, because we all know SpongeBob loves his spatula. You know, really not much more to say about that than that. There are a few places where it's not impossible to die, and there's definitely a chance, especially for newer runners, to die on a pretty regular basis on some places. But generally, we shouldn't need as many lives as we have. There are a few stages in particular that just can be notorious for killing off runs. There is a glitch that you were talking about in Oil Rig, which used to be the worst level in the game. I don't know if it still is.
It's a map that you can do with a lot of practice, but you don't skip through the difficult part with the glitch. I've been missing all my platforms.
Yeah, it's definitely getting a little unlucky and missing all these cycles. But other than that, that finishes up 2-2, and it's on to 2-3. And now I will say that there are some of these levels that, especially when you're not very experienced, these can be quite tricky at times. I don't think 3-3 is very difficult. I think it's mainly 2-3. I mean, but it's mainly 2-4 if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, this one you do have to know where you, or in the beginning it has a notorious bit. If you want to go too fast, you just fall in the hole in the end of like the downward spiral.
So that's what he was talking about. He does end up getting it, which is really unfortunate.
Yep. Luckily, it's not a big combat piece. You can just avoid it for the most part.
And luckily, there's that net, which kind of negates most of the effects.
Because now we just have our net back. We don't fall as slow anymore. Like, all the negative effects are...
Oh yeah, we also got a lot of lava boosts in this.
No, only that one. There are more, but it's just better to use the platform. It's just faster.
So yeah, Lava Field can be a bit of an interesting stage. Casually, it's really difficult because of, well, hitboxes.
Also, patience is a virtue, and you really need patience for this level.
But I think as you're navigating through, we can do another quick donation.
We actually have 2 donations. One of them by Mr. Broad, saying, "Hi guys, can't be here this month, still wanted to wish you all good luck. We want to thank you for your €25 donation." We also have a €21.39 donation from Indy saying, "Hey guys, it's Indy. You might have heard of me. Thanks Cruel, Zeta, and Box for the race, and good luck to all the runners. Unfortunately, I have only 8 characters, but it somehow works. Hashtag lava boss.
So these lava thingies right there, they can just push you back and knock you into the lava, and their hitbox exists as long as there's just a little bit of it left. And this is the second boss of the game. Basic idea is he tries to attack you, I believe, 3 times, and then he does one of 2 things. He either starts dropping stuff from above or from below.
The below is always the first one, the above is always the second one, and if it gets to a third, which shouldn't, but sometimes just happens if you miss too many punches, then it's 1 and 1. And we're gonna pick up the burger, but we're gonna wait for him to start his animation, because otherwise he swaps sides, and he's going to just sit there doing nothing for, well, twice as long, and then we just have to wait. And there it is.
That's World 2 done. On to World 3. And casually, World 3 is, at least in my experience, one of the easier worlds in the game, surprisingly enough. I believe we have to collect certain... or no, that's 4 that we collect the sand coins, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, there's that little bubble blaster at the bottom that you may have noticed there. Yeah, we won't be using that anytime soon.
It's a solid form of combat, but again, we're not trying to actually do any form of combat outside of just doing the jumps from above. Jumps from above is the fastest. It's not the most reliable. The most reliable is just punching them.
So yeah, we're just gonna skip through it. I believe there are a few areas where we might be seeing it, but much like most forms of combat, we won't, or most items in general, we won't really be seeing it much. Basically, the game has a lot of these little items that you can use to supposedly make your life easier, but they're not really well balanced. And at the end of the day, most of them are slower than just going through it with the abilities you already have.
Yeah. You only use them when you have to use them, and you only have to use them on the first boss, so... Unless it's the first boss, or there's technically another one, but that's not really a weapon. And we'll get to that one later. You just don't use them. Why would you? Punches and jumps are the best form of combat, so... punches is most reliable as well, so yeah.
And that is, you know, even if that wasn't the case, you could still damage boost through a lot of these enemies, which is, I think, in a lot of cases, still faster anyway.
Yeah.
Even though you might not want to damage boost through everything, just over the course that, you know, you do get knocked back, so that knockback is a little bit of a thing, but...
on the first stage of Chapter 2, there is one point where you feel like, or the initial strat involved killing the pufferfish, but I just decided to damage boost through them, and it proved to be a lot faster. Oh, I have to kill that one. So I can create my bubble platform.
So this is, you know, the bubble here is actually needed to get up there, but you can probably tell, like, it moves up very slowly, so... Ideally, if at all possible, you want to avoid it. There are quite a few places where you can actually jump high enough, though the window is somewhat close, like that one. But you know, with some practice, they're not that hard to get down. And just damage boost through the toxic, because why not?
And now we're going to... Initially, you fell down here, but someone found that you can do it without going down there, and it saves, I believe, 2 seconds.
Oh, that's
this way.
I didn't even know that you could there.
I didn't either.
That's actually a really neat little time save. But yeah, on to Inside the Whale.
I hate this level.
This level is just... It's awful.
It's... The actual, like, platforming part is not bad. The boss is just unreliable.
Yeah, it's basically one of those bosses, which you actually see in quite a few games, where, you know, you have one of those bosses where if you hit them, it's like a snake, and if you hit them, they become shorter, but they also become faster as a result. And there are a few places where if the snake knocks you into that very specific position, you can just die.
And next to that, you can't actually hit him if he does a vertical attack. He needs to do horizontal attacks, and sometimes you can't avoid him doing a vertical attack, and it just becomes such a pain.
So here we go. It's onto the boss, and while we get him killed off, you can do another donation.
There, like he decides to be a pain today, doing all the vertical attacks.
We have another €50 donation from Magnificent, saying, "That donation felt so good, I'm doing it twice. Thank you for the extremely generous second €50 donation, Matt."
So a bit of a struggle here, especially these last two phases, or the last two forms are kind of tricky because of the way that he can approach you. And with that, it's on to World 4, and this is where I believe we're going to just collect some coins.
Yes. Little note on the last boss. Sometimes he gets in that vertical attack loop like he did with me towards the end, and it's really hard to break him from that. You can, like, move to a different position, but sometimes he just resets back to another vertical attack loop, and it's such a pain. It wastes so much time, and if you die, which doesn't happen too frequently on that boss, but if you die on that boss, you have to do the entire level again. We are indeed at the coin stages, and the first one is just pretty easy, pretty reliable. The second one...
I think most of these coins are generally fairly easy to get to, at least on a casual level. There is a lot of stuff going around in these levels, so, you know, it still involves a lot of dodging stuff and quick little bits of movement. That can make it a little tricky in a speedrun setting, but for the majority of it, it shouldn't be all that difficult.
Graveyards in this one, which is a really scary level, but bar graveyard, there's nothing really that even could go wrong.
The little octopus you saw up there, those are one to watch out for, especially later on. There's one area where they can become quite painful.
Yep. I really hate the Occupy. They're really annoying. I don't think anyone likes them. You have to either wait a long time for them, or just damage boost your way through it, but their movement is just so unpredictable that either is a pain. Now we're on Graveyard though, so now we are on the make or break level, and we got a donation right now, so yeah. Go do that first.
Indeed, we have a €5 donation from Zeta saying, "Sup guys, thanks Box, Cruel and Indy for the fun raise. I think we showed you that Blame M3 is greater than Lava Boost."
So this is one of those octopi that if he throws you off, you can just get knocked back in there, and you'll just die.
Yep. Luckily, we got past it without any harm, without any deaths. So that's a really smooth graveyard.
Yeah, that may have looked as if it was very easy, but that level is notoriously difficult.
Especially the last one. Oh shit. Whee.
So here we're just gonna jump down, and you know, there would be no way to tell that there's actually something there, unless you really do know the level.
Okay,
these enemies.
For a bit. This is a very audio cue heavy.
Okay, we'll need some quiet for a little bit.
Okay,
that's the tough part done. That part, like, you can just get knocked back by any of the octopi or any of the other regular enemies, and it is a pain when that happens.
I had to pick up the Krabby
So,
Patty
you know, now we're gonna move on to the Flying Dutchman, because, you know, we're all Dutch, and That seems like a fitting boss for a speedrunning marathon in the Netherlands.
Sometimes he's out of screen, which is really annoying, but overall, the second attack chain that he has, you have to get used to it, but as soon as you do it, it's not a difficult one. The first one is just punch him as soon as he spawns, and then he does it 3 times. First he does it 4 times, then 3 times. You need to know these counts. Off screen. Yeah.
And there we go. That's, well, onto the last world. And, well, you can tell that people have not been too kind, and everything is really polluted. There are some really hard stages in the last one, especially the before last stage, which is going to be happening very soon, Oil Rig. There's no checkpoints in that entire stage, and it just has a lot of really tricky parts that, well, we'll see how it'll go, but it's one it's very common to die on. This is a little unlucky with a star right there. Ooh.
And this, just like in stage 1, this is one I'm notorious on failing the jump from platform to platform, especially when the platforms are actually.
Yeah, once they get out of sync, you really have to be able to do this on the fly, and that just makes it all the more difficult.
We got past it, a bit slow, but
we got there eventually, so it's not a major problem. En
dat is de hammer.
dat was de eerste. Nog 3 levels te gaan.
This Dutch.
Oh, wow. Wow.
10 out of 10.
I am really, I don't know. 3 stages left. Wow, okay.
Please.
My apologies. I don't know why I switched to Dutch there. But yeah, 3 stages left at this point.
This stage is a really easy one. You do not ever lose on this stage unless something really bad happens. But you do need, or you can save in total, I believe it's 25 seconds by doing proper jump, or by doing the Mario-like jump instead of punches. But that you have to do them so frequently that it's really that it takes a lot of practice.
And now on to Oil Rig, and
You're gonna glitch.
Apparently there's a fairly newly discovered glitch in this one. Oh wow! Oh wow! I did not. He just jumped through the wall there. Nice.
Yeah.
So is it just the wall not existing there, or
it thinks you're gonna on the little curve there. It thinks you're gonna fall through it, or you're gonna jump on top of it, but you then step back a little bit. And all of a sudden it thinks you're not on it, but you're not in the wall part because you cannot stand on walls for some reason in this game, and you just walk through.
These enemies right here, by the way, can completely kill a run, because one missed jump and you're back at the start of the level.
Only the first one, but yeah.
Yeah, but there's still like something to pay close attention to, and then we get that hamburger just in time, and from here on the level won't be as tricky, I don't think.
It's the last platform, and
that's Oil Rig done. So on to the final stage of the game, and I think we can do another donation while we do the last stage.
Yep. We have 2 donations. One from Rashla saying, "I want to see barrier skip for Rikolcha. I will donate 10 euros total for it. If he promises to do it early after Master Sword, I will donate another 9 euro. Hashtag barrier skip hype." And we also have a 15 euro donation from Chaos Clutchmeister saying, "Encounters in Final Fantasy 1 were being a pain, but we got there in the end. Shoutouts to Indy, Zeta, Cruel, and Box for this fun race. Time to get some Lufia hype going. Donating towards naming the Lufia hero Chaos." And with that, I would also like to ask the runner if there's time to update you on the donation wars.
We just got the luckiest platform ever. There's a platform you never really get, and somehow I got it.
You did get a little unlucky in that you actually got to the hamburger. Normally you're going to try to skip that hamburger because it makes this fight a little bit easier. So let's hope he can get through without. And get ready on the timer, by the way. I believe it's as soon as this boss is dead.
As soon as I put my thumbs up. Or Spongebob puts his thumbs up.
A really smooth fight so far.
Yeah, and game.
Time. So how much do we have on the timer?
25 on the dot.
25 on the dot. That is console record still.
That's console record.
That's console record. So for what it's worth, it's still a couple minutes off the actual record, but this is definitely a pretty smooth run overall, I think.
Now it's 20 seconds off on second place for AMU and console, and it's 30 seconds cut off my PP.
Not bad, not bad. So yeah, that was Spongebob, Squarepants, Supersponge. Next up we'll be having some Madagascar. Just gonna move on with the memes, I suppose. So let's...
From sponges to penguins.